In today's consumer-driven world, wealth and success are often defined by what we own. The cars we drive, the homes we live in, the brands we wear. We are bombarded by advertisements and social media influencers, all telling us that more possessions, more money, and more status will bring happiness. But what if true wealth isn't about accumulating things, but about finding contentment with what we already have? Stoicism offers us a powerful perspective on money and wealth. As Epictetus said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. This Stoic insight teaches us that wealth is not found in external possessions, but in the mastery of our desires. In this video, we'll explore how Stoicism helps us cultivate a healthy, balanced relationship with money, avoiding the trap of materialism and focusing instead on what truly leads to happiness and fulfillment. Stay with us as we delve into how Stoic principles can guide us to find true wealth, not in possessions, but in our mindset and approach to life. Epictetus offers a profound thought when he says, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." In this simple yet powerful statement, Epictetus turns the conventional understanding of wealth on its head. In a world where materialism and consumerism often define success, he reminds us that true wealth is not found in possessing more, but in wanting less. Instead of measuring wealth by the size of our bank accounts or the quantity of our belongings, Epictetus teaches us that true abundance comes from contentment and self-sufficiency. This Stoic perspective shifts our focus away from accumulating things and instead directs us toward the inner peace that comes from recognizing that happiness is not tied to material wealth, but to the control of our desires. By practicing self-control and simplifying our wants, we can live a richer, more fulfilling life. Epictetus's insight that wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants, challenges the very foundation of how we define wealth in the modern world. In a society where consumerism reigns and success is often measured by the number of things we own, Stoicism offers a refreshing and profound alternative. True wealth comes from contentment, not accumulation. Consider how much of your life revolves around wanting more, whether it is the latest tech gadget, a bigger house, a higher salary, or more recognition. The pressure to accumulate possessions or wealth can leave us feeling like we were always chasing something just out of reach. We often think that happiness lies in the next big purchase or achievement, but Stoicism teaches us that peace and fulfillment come not from gaining more, but from desiring less. When we learn to reduce our wants, we free ourselves from the never-ending cycle of consumerism and materialism. Instead of measuring our worth by how much we own, we begin to measure it by our ability to be content with what we have. This shift in perspective doesn't just change how we view wealth, it changes how we experience life itself. The modern trap of materialism. In today's world, we're constantly bombarded with messages telling us that more is better. More possessions, more experiences, more status. All of these are marketed as the path to happiness. Social media often amplifies this, creating a cycle of comparison where we measure our success against others. This constant need for more can leave us feeling inadequate, even though we might already have everything we truly need. The Stoic approach to wealth challenges this narrative. Instead of chasing more, Stoicism invites us to ask, what truly brings happiness? Is it more things, or is it something deeper, something that can't be bought or accumulated? According to Stoic philosophy, true wealth is found in simplicity, in reducing unnecessary desires, and in appreciating what we already have. How Stoicism guides us in managing money and wealth. Redefine wealth. Stoicism teaches us that wealth is not about possessions, but about mindset. True wealth is found in the freedom that comes from desiring less and being content with the necessities of life. When we stop measuring success by what we own, we open ourselves up to a life of true contentment and inner peace. Control your desires. One of the key Stoic practices is to focus on what is within our control and what is not. We cannot control the consumer-driven world around us, but we can control our desires. By practicing self-discipline and reducing unnecessary wants, we free ourselves from the need to constantly acquire more and instead find fulfillment in living simply and mindfully. Find joy in simplicity. When we shift our focus away from external achievements and possessions, we begin to appreciate the simple joys of life. Stoicism encourages us to find happiness in things that are inwardly fulfilling, cultivating wisdom, fostering meaningful relationships, and enjoying the present moment. These sources of joy don't require money or possessions, yet they provide a richer experience of life. Practice gratitude for what you have. One of the most powerful Stoic practices is gratitude. Instead of focusing on what we don't have, gratitude helps us focus on what we do have. By appreciating the simple things, our health, our relationships, the beauty of nature, we shift our mindset from scarcity to abundance. Gratitude deepens our understanding of true wealth, helping us live more in line with our values and less in pursuit of material gains. Live below your means. In a consumer-driven society, it's easy to fall into the trap of overspending or keeping up with the latest trends. Stoicism teaches us to live simply and within our means, focusing on what's truly important and letting go of unnecessary desires. By living below our means, we gain financial freedom, reduce stress, and cultivate a greater sense of peace. Find true freedom in detachment. True freedom doesn't come from the accumulation of wealth, but from the ability to detach from the need for more. When we no longer define ourselves by what we own, we gain the freedom to live authentically, focusing on the things that matter most. Detaching from materialism allows us to experience life with greater purpose and less stress. Building a healthy relationship with money. Stoicism teaches us that money is a tool, not a measure of success or happiness. When we focus on virtue and self-control, we can cultivate a healthy relationship with money, using it responsibly and with purpose. Money can be used for good, to support our well-being, help others, or contribute to causes we care about. But when we make it the centerpiece of our lives, we fall into the trap of materialism and unnecessary desire. By embracing the Stoic mindset, we learn to value what truly brings happiness, wisdom, simplicity, and self-discipline. In doing so, we transform our relationship with money and wealth, finding contentment in what we already have rather than chasing endless possessions. In today's world, wealth is often seen as the ultimate measure of success. We're taught that having more, whether it's money, possessions, or status, equates to happiness. Yet, in this consumer-driven society, we're constantly bombarded with messages telling us that what we own is what defines us. Whether it's the next gadget, the bigger house, or the perfect lifestyle, the pursuit of wealth is presented as the key to happiness. However, Stoicism offers us a radically different perspective. As Epictetus wisely said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This profound Stoic thought challenges the idea that more is better. Instead of focusing on accumulating possessions, Stoicism teaches us to focus on mastering our desires. True wealth is not about the things we own, but about living with contentment and appreciating what we have. Stoicism and the modern pursuit of wealth. In today's society, materialism and the pursuit of external validation often drive our actions. The idea that success equals money and wealth equals happiness is reinforced everywhere, from advertising to social media influencers. However, Stoicism reminds us that true fulfillment is not found in external possessions, but in the inner richness we cultivate through virtue, self-discipline, and contentment. The Stoic view of wealth is about detachment from material goods. While money and possessions are not inherently bad, Stoicism encourages us to maintain a healthy relationship with them, ensuring that they serve us and do not control us. By focusing on what is in our control, particularly our values, actions, and mindset, we can redefine wealth, not as the accumulation of things, but as the mastery of our desires and the cultivation of a rich, virtuous life. The Stoic approach to money, control, and simplicity. Wealth as a tool, not a goal. Stoicism teaches that money and possessions are tools, not ends in themselves. Wealth can be used for good, to support well-being or help others, but it should never become the focus of our life. The goal is not to accumulate wealth, but to use it wisely when necessary, and to be content without it when it isn't. Mastering our desires. One of the core Stoic teachings is the importance of controlling our desires. Epictetus teaches that true freedom is achieved when we desire less. This means letting go of the constant need for more, whether it's more stuff, more recognition, or more wealth. Living with few wants is the key to true contentment. By managing our desires and cultivating gratitude for what we already have, we break free from the endless chase for more. Self-discipline and moderation. In a society that often glorifies excess, Stoicism teaches us to live moderately and with discipline. Whether it's with food, drink, or material possessions, practicing temperance, the virtue of self-control, helps us avoid indulgence and fosters a sense of inner peace. The Stoics believed that true wealth is found in simplicity and the ability to live without being attached to material things. Redefining success. The Stoic approach asks us to redefine success. Rather than measuring success by how much we accumulate, we measure it by how much we live in accordance with virtue. Wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance are the virtues that guide us to true fulfillment. By focusing on developing these qualities, we begin to realize that wealth is not the accumulation of external things, but the strength of our character. Gratitude and acceptance. A Stoic mindset fosters gratitude for what we have and acceptance of what we don't. Rather than longing for what is missing, Stoicism teaches us to appreciate the simple, essential aspects of life. By being grateful for the present moment and for what we already possess, we experience a deep sense of contentment regardless of our material circumstances. Finding peace in simplicity. The Stoic way of life encourages us to simplify our needs and desires. By eliminating unnecessary wants, we can find freedom from material dependence and experience more peace. True wealth comes from simplicity, living in a way that reflects inner peace, not external accumulation. Conclusion: wealth in character, not possessions. Ultimately, Stoicism teaches us that true wealth is found in the richness of our character, not in our bank accounts or possessions. Wealth, as defined by Stoics, is not about having more, but about wanting less and finding fulfillment in simplicity. When we focus on virtue and self-mastery, we are able to live more peacefully, regardless of our financial situation. As we move forward in life, let us focus not on accumulating wealth, but on cultivating a life rich in virtue, gratitude, and self-discipline. This is the Stoic path to true success and lasting happiness. As we conclude today's discussion on the Stoic approach to money and wealth, remember that true wealth is not measured by what we accumulate, but by how we manage our desires and live in accordance with virtue. Epictetus reminds us that wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. In a world that constantly pushes us toward consumerism and materialism, Stoicism teaches us that true fulfillment comes from contentment, simplicity, and self-control. By focusing on what is truly within our control, our actions, values, and mindset, we can cultivate a healthier, more balanced relationship with money and wealth. Money becomes a tool to support well-being, not the end goal. True wealth lies in the strength of our character and our ability to live a meaningful life aligned with our values. So, as you move forward, ask yourself, how can I cultivate true wealth in my life? How can I focus on what truly matters, wisdom, simplicity, and contentment, instead of chasing material possessions? Thank you for joining us today. If this video resonated with you, subscribe and share it with someone who might benefit from redefining wealth and living with intention. Together, let's embrace the Stoic path to true success, a life grounded in virtue, gratitude, and simplicity.